I don't use the word hate lightly, but there is one thing I absolutely hate. It's infant formula. Marketing.
Less than half of infants around the world are breastfed.
The health of nations globally is under attack by the formula milk industry's aggressive marketing.
Or what do you feel is your corporate responsibility to find out the extent of the use of your product in the developing part of the world?
We can't have that responsibility, sir.
From disturbing, not so distant history to modern days, let's take a deep dive into infant formula marketing. Welcome to Mother Thinks Best, where I, Liz, talk about all sorts of things that pique my interest as a mother of two, content creator and scientist. Our first destination is a trip back to the 1970s. This was a time when infant formula companies, led by Nestle, decided to launch what might be the most exploitative marketing campaign in the entire modern history. Nestle's so-called modern miracle nearly destroyed the health of millions of babies, and now the legacy of this campaign is still messing with mothers. In the post-war boom, infant formula was marketing to mothers as a modern miracle and a convenient, sleek solution to infant feeding. An upgrade from breastfeeding, if you will. This alone diminished breastfeeding rates and created lots of health concerns for babies. But that was not enough. Formula giants like Nestle saw a massive marketing opportunity in developing countries. And that's when things took a really sinister turn. To achieve their mission, Nestle sent out basically armies of milk nurses, giving out free formula samples to mothers in hospitals and clinics. They were not real nurses, of course, they were just sales reps in white coats. Their mission was to hand out gifts of free formula samples while selling mothers on the idea to keep using them instead of breastfeeding. The first few days of a breastfeeding journey are absolutely crucial for its success. So by the time the mothers went home, their milk supply was completely diminished, and with no adequate help and lactation support, in order to satisfy their babies, mothers basically had no choice but to keep buying infant formula, which was really expensive. This isn't even the worst part. Here's when it gets really dark. Many of the mothers Nestle targeted lived in places where clean water wasn't easy to come by. They were using unsafe water to mix infant formula, which in turn led to horrifying infections and infant malnutrition. And then there was the issue of cost. Formula was so expensive that not many mothers could afford it on an ongoing basis. So as a result, they started diluting it, which also led to massive problems in their infants. One of the most famous examples of this is this heart-wrenching story of a Pakistani mother and her twins, a boy and a girl. Due to infant formula propaganda, her mother-in-law convinced this woman that she would never be able to produce enough milk for both of her twins. So as a result, she provided breast milk for her boy while bottle feeding her girl. Tragically, the bottle-fed girl has left this world the very day after this photograph was taken. Her mother said, "Use my picture, it will help," on her mission to spread awareness and make sure that this doesn't happen to any other family. This story serves as a stark reminder of how predatory formula marketing really was at that time. According to the Baby Killer report, this wasn't an isolated case either. Formula dependency in these regions led to malnutrition, high infant mortality rates, and an erosion of breastfeeding culture. All because Nestle decided to sell their product as a modern, superior choice, preying on mothers' anxieties about not having enough milk, wanting to give their babies the best start. The scandal took some time to brew. However, by 1974, the outrage around the world was horrendous. The Baby Killer report basically went viral, well, as viral as things could go in the 70s. People around the entire world were appalled by Nestle's tactics. By 1977, activists launched a widespread boycott of Nestle products. Their demands were simple: for the company to stop promoting infant formula as a superior alternative to breastfeeding. The World Health Organization stepped in, and by 1981, we had the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes. This code aimed to protect vulnerable new mothers, but did it really help? Fast forward to today, and you would think that big formula companies have learned their lesson, regulations around formula marketing have improved, etc.
Big mistake. Big. huge.
True, some ways of advertising infant formula have been eradicated. However, the tactics of formula companies have just evolved with the times. Enter the modern-day milk nurses, social media influencers. Modern formula companies, Bobby probably being the most prominent of them, are using influencers and sponsored content to blur the lines between genuine advice and advertising. This digital marketing strategy sidesteps the regulations in the international code, because there is simply nothing there about social media marketing, and it hasn't been adequately updated to reflect it. This information reaches new mothers with subtle, indirect ads on platforms such as Instagram and TikTok, where it's hard to tell what's even real and what's paid. Infant formula dependency also remains a real issue, and not just in third world countries. Once families start relying on formula, especially if breastfeeding has been disrupted or discouraged in the process, it's really hard, if not impossible in some cases, to go back. And when formula becomes a necessity, any disruption in supply can obviously have devastating consequences. Take the massive 2022 Abbott formula recall, for instance.
Baby formula shortage across the country. Many stores running out of the critical item and unable to restock.
Panicked families are struggling to find formula to feed their babies. A devastating shortage has left supermarket shelves empty across the country.
It's scary not knowing if you're going to be able to feed your kid.
The fear is very real when they see store shelves that look like this.
And many parents were left scrambling to find alternatives, driving from store to store, frantically trying to find any infant formula for their babies. This wasn't merely an inconvenience, it was a full-blown crisis. Parents who relied on formula had no choice but to struggle to find safe supplies, often paying exorbitant prices on the black market or driving hours just to get a can. The recall shined a light on the harsh truth. When formula companies create dependency, they're putting families at the mercy of corporate supply chains, and this is not fair. And in emergencies, corporations still have their pockets cushioned, while mothers and babies suffer. And here's another sinister twist. Recent investigations have shown that Nestlé and other companies add more sugar to formula products in developing countries compared to the Western markets. Now let that sink in. Formula is being altered to be sweeter, which is completely unnecessary and can potentially lead to even more health issues in vulnerable babies in those countries. And the good old targeting of low-income families hasn't gone anywhere either. Studies in countries like Peru show that formula companies continue to aggressively advertise to mothers who cannot afford baby formula on an ongoing basis. So no, the story of formula marketing is not just about the past. It's about our right to live in the world where every mother can make an informed choice about feeding her baby and about what's best for her family, free from corporate influence. And also, let's be real, we use many products on a daily basis that do have sinister history. And not everything is born from sunshine and rainbows. The problem is when through this clever marketing and covert messaging, we start perceiving big corporations as our best buddies. As one of my favorite YouTubers, Hannah Alonso, likes saying, consider the source, remember the motive. For too long, formula companies have undermined our freedoms by promoting formula as the best or only option, often in ways that prey on mothers' fears and insecurities. What we really need as parents is unbiased information, supportive healthcare, and the confidence that our choices are ours and ours only. So yes, I'm not against infant formula, but I am and will forever be against any form of infant formula marketing.
I know this must feel very strange. But ordinary is just what you're used to. This may not seem ordinary to you right now, but after a time it will. This will become ordinary.
See you next time.